Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to a hype semifinals matchup here in our Eblan Elixir League. We have a Moonveil Mixer TwinCast tonight here. Peasants OMFG versus Korgs, and Reckless Charlie versus Rex Rawl. My name's Vitasia. I'm joined on the mic tonight by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Solaris. How are we doing tonight, man?
Oh, I don't know so much about Legend, but I'm super happy to be here. I am excited. These two teams have some real good runners, and there are a lot of stakes on the line kind of in these two races, aren't there, Fantasia?
Absolutely. This is the semifinals matchup between the one seed Team Wombat Milk, represented by Peasants and Reckless Charlie, versus the four seed Korgs versus Rexroll. Now, so everyone is fully aware of the stakes. These are team races that are going on. And last night, in what can only be described as one of the single most hype races in the entire tournament that we've had up to this point in time. So cover your ears if you don't want to be spoiled. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zilch ended up upsetting Woobear. Woobear, who had a 6-0 record at going into it, but Zilch did defeat Woobear. So the Rusty Spoons at the 4 seed are one game up, which means that Korgs or Rexroll, if either one of them defeats the opponents, the 4 seed will move on to the finals over the number 1 seed Team Wombat Milk. If Peasants and Reckless Charlie both get the wins tonight, however, the 1 seed will continue to advance.
Yeah, this is gonna be so great. By the way, that match, like, just go find it and watch it. I promise you, it's worth your time. That previous matchup between Woo and Zilch, really, really good. Now onto this one, I see a Sid, and let me tell you, when I see a Sid and Sea Hero, I get really happy.
Absolutely, Sid as your Sea Hero is fantastic. He's fantastic early game because he can absolutely, dive and do quite a bit of damage in the early game and kind of carry you. You have to complete 6 of 7, so you're likely to get the Forge, and he has some of the best Forge weapons that are out there. But most importantly, he does not get that speedy, so the rest of your party can continue to deal damage. You don't have to worry about agility anchoring at the end of the game. It's just one of the best heroes that there is.
Yeah, but the best is kind of for later. At the moment, we're not exactly the best of parties. So we've got Kenatsu in the Baigan spot. Notable because we're looking for a couple of bosses, but starting with an Edward. And is that a White Spear? It's not really exactly the start you want at the moment.
Yeah, the White Spear isn't exactly what I would call hype. I mean, if we
Until we
find
get
a
a
Kane,
Kane.
fantastic. Yeah. This is just proof that Kane is going to be absolutely buried somewhere, like on the Giant of Babel, so we're never going to see him again.
Yep. And both our runners doing, or both our runners, pardon me, there are there are 4 people to watch. There's a little bit of divergence. It's like half have gone over to Watery Pass actually to do some looting. Peasants has gone over to Dampsian, and I really like Charlie's play of spying the elements at the Baron Inn spot, and that there's an edge in the seed sitting there in Baron Inn. Really good information to have.
Absolutely. I'm almost
Heroin
tempted
Robe. Heroin Robe, if there's a out of Peasant's side there, sorry, out of Dampsian, that's going to be real good if they find someone who can wear it.
That will be nice, absolutely. Meanwhile, we are picking everything up. We do have a Dwarf Axe and we have a Strength Ring that is part of our starter kit. If I'm Reckless Charlie, I might even take a peek at those bosses to see if there's something cheeky that we can get through, because with an Anchor Sid, you can get through it with a couple hits. But more importantly than that, that edge would be able to leverage quite a bit of power early game.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little tricky at Baron Inn because of the second boss punches so hard depending on what's there. The first boss is pretty trivial, so elements wouldn't have been a problem. I like Charlie doing a little bit of looting here, a little bit of shopping. Finds actually a Poison Axe, which is reasonably cheap and also a very good weapon for Sid, even though you're right, that Dwarf Axe kind of to start is also pretty good. But we have one runner, Korgs, who does want to see the character immediately, and it's Rosa guarded by the freest of bosses. The King
Slightly
Queen Eblan.
disappointed to see the king and queen at this spot. It is one of the easier spots. So you're really kind of hoping to not have to see this here. But sure, we'll take a free white mage. Why not?
Yeah, Peasants, however, has got to be feeling pretty hyped because he's the one who picked up that heroine robe. And Charlie, if Charlie loots the bottom of Dancian, he's in the area, will also get the little sparkle check at the waterfall. We are looking for 2 bosses, finds Plague. It's not Golbez or the Gauntlet, but knowing the sparkle I like doing because it could have been like a Wyvern, and then, you know, Wyvern's not on the table anymore. But yeah.
Little disappointed for Plague. Plague is one of those bosses that, depending on what you're set up and how your party is set up, you can cheese in some instances. So a little bit disappointed to see him out of the table. That being said, he can be very rude in others. So, you know, that's just information at this point in time.
Yeah.
And Korgs... Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Korgs looks like is setting up to almost immediately get everything set up for Rosa, but will almost immediately go into the Antlion Cave, which is an interesting play. Antlion, of course, a very easy check early on, although the downside is no exit caster, so we'll have to walk out if it's anything worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Korgs is doing. He's saying that, okay, I have a Dwarf Axe and a Strength Ring, like, I don't really need anything else. I can start clearing checks immediately, and it's taken that mindset, whereas some of the, Ninja Sword, that's kind of a high roll in the Antlion Cave. And we know Nedge is in the seed, so that's actually pretty great. But yeah, I like Korgs taking the, just like, I'm just gonna run, you know, until I need to stop and shop and loot and whatnot, whereas the other runners have kind of taken their time. Though, you know, Charlie and Peasants both getting paid off with that heroine robe. They're both getting, everyone's going to get this Rosa in short order if they don't all have it now already. But, you know, we'll see how this plays out. There's always this thing of, like, what do you do early game? How much do you shop? How much do you loot? We might see a lot of different sort of semi-divergence at the moment, but they're all probably going to meet up pretty closely, you know, depending on their immediate choices.
Absolutely. And Peasants is getting ready to do the Bahamut fight here in Antlion Cave that Korgs did just finish. Rewarded with a hook, which is super interesting. That might be our access and intended way into the underground. But that's, I mean, really interesting play. I mean, you're right next door. If you weren't already going to do and go to Dancian to do some looting and then launch the hovercraft, that certainly would incentivize you to do so. So I think heroine robes are on the menu for just about everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to incentivize Korgs to go to Dampstein immediately, go loot because he wants some money. Because Eblan's very interesting for a few reasons. One, you're right, it might be your intended access underground, so you want to know who that boss is. There's also a gated character check, which could be, I believe, a Fusoya, right, is enabled in this flag set. Or a Cecil, who are both very strong characters, or actually the Kane for the White Spear. And you get access to that better gated shop with the 2 guaranteed tier 5 items that could be like, you know, Hourglass of Sirens and whatnot, and then just like really good weapon and armor shops. So there's a lot of incentive, actually, and good loot in Cave Eblan. There's a ton of incentive to just do it right away.
Yeah, Korg said, no, I'm good without looting Dampsey basement, so he'll miss the heroine robe, so rip commentator curse. But yeah, everything else you said was absolutely accurate. I think immediately checking the shop, I mean, just imagine the dream scenario where you check the shop, you find like hourglasses that allow you to immediately open some of these trap chests, get some great experience in the Eblan Castle, and then whoever the character is will be fantastic for you as well. It's too tempting to not immediately go into this Eblan cave. Sub 7 minutes, yes, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, it is defensible if you think you have enough power, like a heroine robe and a good bow, to just keep going and then only do kind of like single dip the hook route. But yeah, I agree with kind of running down this route immediately. Now, someone in chat asked, you know, why loot Dampsian when you're already going to loot Eblan Cave anyways? And for me, it's kind of this immediate reason, though. You do start with all these rune rings. I guess is something I should keep in mind on this flag set. But you kind of want to do shopping when you step into Eblan, and unless you know that you're going to full loot the cave, which really you have a lot of incentive to, getting some loot up front to then like do some shopping with, I think is still just kind of nice. You also might want to spike a curse ring down in the basement, because there's a pretty good chance of tier 4s. But Korg said, nah, I don't need any of that. I can just go to Eblan Cave and get all my loot here. I've got all the money I need immediately, and that's going to make a lot of sense as well.
We did see, and the dream did come true. Korgs did pick up 5 hourglasses that were available for sale in that item shop. That's going to help quite a bit if you end up running into the trap chest here in Eblan Cave, but also the 3 trap chests in Eblan Castle as well. Just hourglasses are so good in this particular flag set, especially early game. Less valuable late game, but they will help in depending on what monsters we end up finding in certain bosses. But just a fantastic investment, and something that if you find it this early in the game, yeah, you grab a stack of them because it's going to be helpful.
And that's Palom on the hook route, and CPU is not the Rubicant spot boss you want to find. Also Legend Sword, if a bull defense for peasants. Palom's great. CPU is always kind of awful to fight, especially the higher HP spot it is. It's not that it's like lethal, you're not going to die fighting the CPU, but your soul might die as it takes forever and ever. It's very, it can be very frustrating to fight that boss.
No, absolutely. It's just a time sink. And if there's one thing that speedrunners hate, like, I would rather die to a boss 2 or 3 times and at least feel like I'm making progress towards getting quicker at it than have to sit through all that damage and heal and its back row. Like, it's just slow and a pain in the tuchus. It's doable, which is fine.
I'm sorry, there was a heroin robe just sitting in that pot in Baron Inn. Just right in front of Baron Inn.
Just why not? Jesus.
Sir Rex was like,
I
yes,
heard
please.
I heard you like heroin ropes.
I think this is going to be our first Baron Inn check, too. We're doing the Elements fight. That Ruby fight we saw was out of football defense. By the way, Korg's fighting the Stalemen. I was going to say, I liked buying the hourglasses up front because the Stalemen are one of the rudest trap chests in the game for the level you tend to do it. And it's pretty nice to be able to, if you find that trap chest while you're looting down, you don't have to reset, you can just throw the hourglass and then end up doing it. You don't always get the best of loot from this particular chest, but I have seen a couple adamant armors come out of those.
Meanwhile, in the We Like Our Memes department, Senator Crocodile, located in Baron Inn. Oh boy. So this is a free enterprise community meme. Whenever the Fabul Gauntlet is located in either of the 2 locations in Baron Inn, it's referred to lovingly as Senator Crocodile because the crocodiles are just having meetings over coffee, and you know, it's not hanging out with the king, they're actually doing legislation. So we're hanging out and doing that instead. It's a long fight, but luckily it is an objective. It's our first objective, so Rex absolutely happy to see that where it's located, in addition to being another key item check and getting a ninja on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually, you're pretty happy to see this boss, this Fabul Gauntlet here. It's not somewhere much later and much ruder. And at the point that you find it, you know that, cursed ring in that out-of-the-way chest in Eblan Cave for Charlie in the bottom left there. That was a nice pickup. I'm not sure if everyone's going to find that. But anyways, the Fabul Gauntlet, it's at that point in the game that you've got, you might have some J items to help take care of them. From like an efficiency standpoint, like I wouldn't feel too worried that an opponent's going to do this much quicker than I can because it's so early, and it's also like a lot safer than a lot of bosses that can end up here. Like 3 Dark Imps, if you didn't have hourglasses at this spot, you can just die immediately. So yeah, I'm very happy to see that, and that is of course an objective on this flex set.
Yeah, and as Hush Pyramid is pointing out, our wonderful restreamer, by the way, thank you, Hush. Pointing out Hanzo's Steel, so Masamune is located in that trap chest for the Staleman that we talked about earlier. We know exactly where an edge is located too, so rewarded. I'll absolutely take that.
Yeah, and he's picked up that ninja sword from Antlion Cave. His edge is already kitted to the nines. There's that strength ring you start with. It'll surely move from Sid over to edge, and yeah, he will be very well good to go. Speaking of Eblan, by the way, Korg's now going to take that chance to run into here. This makes sense to me because you wouldn't mind some loot, maybe some experience, especially for your Palom. Actually, yeah, knowing that he's picked the Palom up now, this is a good play because these trap chests are a good spike of experience, and getting Palom up to Virus and then eventually Quake will speed up a lot of fights. So getting the experience sooner than later, especially if you know you're going to do this, because, you know, again, there could be an adamant armor kind of out of any of these boxes.
Yeah, we've seen an interesting shift. You know, these flag sets for the Moonveil Mixer were kind of designed, you know, when everyone was putting together the different flag sets for the tournament, was designed as a weird amalgamation of previous tournament flag sets that we were more familiar with. However, the thing that I think separates these flag sets from anything else that we've seen before is how willing and powerful doing the trap chest, even though they're not necessarily required, because everything else only can give up to tier 5 loot. The adamants and the crystal swords and Excaliburs and everything that you could possibly get out of the trap chests gives you so much power that you are heavily incentivized to do them.
Yeah, that's definitely the power of T Wildish, especially on these current randomizer settings. They're almost, in my opinion, just slightly overtuned. They're so good, you really want to grab the loot, unless you've already got mages, you know you're just going to get them sirens and levels and whatnot. But yeah, it's a lot of good stuff to get. The other thing that I like about Korg's doing this Eblan play now, he's going to get rewarded and doesn't know it yet, because he's going to find the Fabul Gauntlet at Baron Inn, and as somebody in chat pointed out, he's going to have Virus for that Fabul Gauntlet, and that is an accelerant that no one else, I don't think, is going to have in that fight. Also, apparently another Masa.
Yeah, second Masa.
Another Masa.
We're going to have Masa, Edge. Oh my goodness.
That Edge is super kitted out.
I heard you like Masa. Do you want another?
Alright, so Charlie and Peasants both heading over at the same time to do Mount Ordeals. Also, I think that, was that Baron Inn reward? I want to say it was a pan.
It was a pan.
Yeah, so good to have in the back pocket.
But with that, I think everything except Mount Ordeals in the overworld has been cleared. So really, the only chance for us to possibly miss doing that hook route, if we wanted to try to dodge it, is up here on Mount Ordeals and to follow whatever path it generates from there. That being said, it's, frankly speaking, not likely. We kind of knew and kind of suspected that we'd be going to the hook path anyway, even with that stinky orb that is sitting there waiting for us, but at least we know it.
Yeah, I kind of love the symmetry. One team is at is at Ordeals at the same time, and the other team is over in Eblan. It just makes me really happy right now. We've got Rex also doing these trap chests. I think before he's heading down to check the hook route, which I don't mind. I mean, he gets kind of punished because he won't have that Palom, but I think he felt incentivized because he's got an edge and you know, just feels strong enough to take on these traps now.
Do you get the sense that maybe these teams have practiced together and have similar routing, maybe just slightly?
A little bit, tiny amount. Yep. Also, this is the freest of Ordeals I've maybe ever seen.
I know,
Like
Officer
the
Soldier
soldiers.
and then Waterhag. This is actually a little bit disappointing, because Ordeals, especially when you have an edge already, you're like, give me something that I have to knock down to get through, because you want to be able to leverage the power. This is nothing.
Yeah, no. And, you know, Ordeals is kind of one of those weird, not weird checks, it's an interesting one, because it's honestly a pretty long check, but you're pretty incentivized to do it on this flag set because you're still looking for Golbez, and it's 3 bosses. And it is a key item, and if the key item is nothing, which There's a decent chance there's nothing here. You still kind of want to keep it because you can turn Cecil into Paladin, and every character is available in this flag set. I'm going to put available in air quotes because it could be, the giant, but there's a Cecil somewhere in the seed. And given what we were talking about earlier, there's a Holy Sword also somewhere in the seed that you very well might run into. So you kind of want to keep it, whatever is here.
Okay, hang on a second. I need someone who knows this game better than me. On Rexraw's screen, a charmed Rosa just cast life on a dead enemy. Do we get the life glitch from that?
Sure do. I've seen it before in Clips and Seeds in our Discord. Way, way up there now. It was some time ago. Somebody in a race had posted something similar.
Clip it! Send it to Clips and Seeds. This is an educational moment here.
It's pretty great. Oh, is Ordeals the other half of Forge? Wow, we have Sid Forge right away. What a blessed seed. We have Masa Edge and Sid. All of Sid's Forge weapons are bangers. They're all basically Excaliburs or better. Pretty great.
Giant Axe, Thor Hammer. I think there's another like fire-based one or something. I don't remember. They're all fantastic.
Yes, all of them. Now, the only thing standing in their way is a CPU, which we were talking about is not going to be difficult, but is annoying. But there is part of what makes it very stressful, actually, is that we're speedrunners. We're incentivized to do that boss as fast as possible, so that we can get a leg up on our opponents and hopefully win. Well, the ways to speed up the CPU fight are all very dangerous. You can either berserk, or you can try blinking you can try blinking the attacker orb, so maybe hopefully you'll kill the other orb and then basically not hit the blinked one. You can bluff up a bunch of times and then cast Quake. Like, there are a variety of ways to try to take on that fight that become dangerous because once you get rid of the two little orbs, it'll start killing off party members. And dangerous in the way that could just end up, re-slowing down your fights. It's very tricky. That's kind of the one stress that's going to be on everyone's mind at the moment.
Yeah, there are some ways to cheese your way around it. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think our Rosa is going to learn float, so that's, doing cheeky float strats is going to be a little bit off the table. But
you still could Quake and just have the idea of like you're quaking and you're berserking, and we call this Plan Q because Plan A, B, and C aren't working or they aren't fast enough. So you just throw the kitchen sink at it. Berserk your party members, throw all the quakes, and just hope that the Globe 99s kill the right party members so you don't lose too much tempo. With Masa and the Quake, I mean, we might honestly see it after dealing some damage to the CPU.
Rexraw just showed us what that edge came equipped with. And I'm real happy that we got Masa to throw on our Ninja Boy, because he only came equipped with a Charm Claw, and that's like the worst thing he could possibly come equipped with, bar none.
Yep. Now, chat pointing out the smart thing that was on my mind, there is one strategy that I think will be better than all others, and I'm trying to keep my eye on who's going to do this. We have an edge, and darts don't care about the back row. Darts are very high-powered, like those ancient swords. I believe you can dart ancient swords. Like, pretty much any kind of weapon you can get your hands on. Drain spears would be the best. It's because they have so much power. That is a way, buy a pile of 10 of those and chuck them at the CPU orb. And if any one of these forerunners does that, they will, I guarantee you, have the fastest CPU fight. So, gonna be looking for that.
All right, so Korgs now receives his pan, has not yet done Mount Ordeals, although that is just about the only thing left for Korgs to end up doing at this point, given everything else. We're going to see all the runners very quickly begin to converge here on Cave Eblan, because there's really just nothing else to do.
Yeah, everyone's going to converge. Now, Peasants took the tack of doing everything and then the hook route, I want to say. which I was kind of talking about earlier, is kind of like a viable thing you can do. He'll get that Palom. He won't get experience on that Palom if he chooses to go forward, and he very well might, but he's got a pretty powered up edge here, so he might not really care too much. If he does that, I think he is slightly in the lead at this moment.
I'm seeing double ninjas on Peasants, which tells me that he has opted. Yeah, that's his first Masamune. I think he dodged Eblan Castle entirely, has not gone for those 3 chests. Now, we know there's another Masa and a couple of Moon Veils, which in their own right are fantastic weapons to have, or fantastic items to have. You can cheese your way through a single fight, depending on where it's at, with each one. So those are nice to have, but otherwise Peasants has not done it. It'll be real interesting to see what his decision is right now.
Yeah, I think given that we don't have a Cecil and he has Forge in hand, so he knows he's going to have very good power once he gets underground, I think he's actually got a lot of incentive to not go there. The only thing that you're fading, which is, I mean, this is a big thing, is like, are there adamant armors in Eblan? You kind of put that in your mind. But he says, you know what, I'm going to take the Stalemen along the way, and I see him looting, so he might be looking for the 4 Mad Ogres. They can have a pretty decent payoff. It'll get experience for Palom. It might get the rest of the experience he might want for the rest of his party. So I think this makes a lot of sense to me because he knows he's going to have power once he gets underground, and that's what Eblan is good for, is the power.
So I just thought of something when it comes to Korg's routing versus everyone else that, well, except for Rex, because Rex hasn't done it as well, that I think will be super interesting. But again, one team has done it, the other team hasn't. You have that pan. You know the hook access is the underground. Logically, I mean, you should be doing, Fabul defense just to check for an offhand magnet key, because you don't want to necessarily do something that's going to take a super long amount of time. And we know that Orb is going to do that. That being said, when you have the pan already, there is a certain type of runner that is incentivized to fade Fabul entirely so you can do it all in one shot and make it more efficient. We know, as observers watching Peasants and Reckless Charlie at this point in time, doing that is going to not get you the first half of the Forge. And does that change any of the calculus once you immediately get into the underground? Like, you're not going to have that awesome weapon for Sid immediately. Does that change anything in terms of the routing a little bit later?
Well, I mean, it certainly could, depending on kind of what power you think you have available. By the way, Dark Imps at the King Queen spot. If we didn't have hourglasses just like in that shop, this would be a really awful fight. Grimoire roll for Peasants gets just a Chocobo. That's pretty much my luck with that. That could be anything from Chocobo to Odin, which would instant kill these guaranteed, to Bahamut, which probably would also one-shot these. But hey, Chocobo, it's what you got. But yeah, with the Hourglass, this fight's going to be free, and then CPU, it's free. Free is kind of in air quotes. Just costs you time.
Yep. So Korg's with his Adamant Rock now coming through, and Rexroll is going to also be picking up Palom. Real interesting. So Peasants is going to be the first one to enter this CPU fight. Interesting. Remember, Peasants dodged Castle Eblan. So
yeah, Peasants dodged Castle Eblan, and he also made the slightly more efficient play, time-wise. If you think you're not going to be above ground very long, of kind of waiting to go down Eblan until he was ready to take, kind of do it all in one go. So he didn't have to run down and then back out of Eblan Cave. So yeah, for those 2 reasons, I think it's kind of what's put him in the minor lead at the moment. Though we'll see. Now, I wanted to talk about the pan for a moment. I think competitive runners are of 2 different mindsets about that pan when you get an opportunity to fade it. Many love to fade for the exact reason that you explained. You just kind of get to one shot going all the way down Sylph Cave. It saves you a ton of time. But a lot of other runners believe that it's a Sphere 0 check, and there are too many good things that you could get there. You could get Magma Key, you could get further progression on Earth, which would be like Twin Harp or Earth Crystal. You could get things that continue to help you underground, like Tower Key or Luca. Or you could get, in this case, Rat. Like, there are a lot of hits that you could get, the Sand Ruby, Darkness especially. And they find it too risky. Like they want that, you know, if that's going to be the case, they'd rather have that right away because it would change things, I suppose. I don't know if it would necessarily be better, but so we'll kind of see how Korgs and Rex feel about that. Yeah, so we see Korg stepping down now. It's going to do full defense.
Sphere 0. Now that's not a phrase I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, the other randomizer communities love to use that term, right? Like, especially
they
these
do.
other communities. Yeah, for
they
us,
do, yeah.
Sphere 0 just means like it's the checks that are open immediately. They're not gated by anything. But yeah, here's CPU. For anyone that's maybe newer to the randomizer or this game, the CPU fight is what makes it so easy, quote unquote, is the two orbs. You need to keep them both alive, or CPU will start one shot at your party. It'll do two of those and then revive the little orbs. There's one that heals the boss for percentage-based hit points, and there's one that does a laser to the entire party for percentage-based damage. Because it's percentage-based, like you've got a white mage, like you really can't die here unless you start pushing. So I think Peasant's going to be here a while.
Now, it's worth pointing out that Peasants is darting the farm at this CPU main bit. Already darted the White Lance, darted a Gungnir Spear. Hey, there's a Drain Spear that he's going to go. I'm sure he's going to dart his extra Ninja Sword that he has immediately. This is, I think Peasants has correctly identified this is going to be a time sink gate, and he has some resources that he can spend. They're going to be costly resources, because if he finds a cane later, he's going to be very, very sad. That being said, the ability to get through this a little bit faster, I'll take it. I think I agree with it on Peasants here.
Yeah, like I said, I believe whoever darts the most in this fight is going to get through it the fastest, because it is just the one thing you can do. The other thing maybe is to Berserk Edge, though I think we have seen a Boomerang, so he'd be back row glitched, but because that CPU is technically in the back row. But I think in a 652 swings, not a lot out of two Ninja Swords. I don't know. It's just without the darts, really not a lot of damage coming out here.
Yeah, I don't think he saw it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Charlie gonna take on his CPU now too. Yeah, chat putting out the only other kind of speedy quote unquote option is to bluff Palom to like max wisdom and then start casting quakes for 3 or 4k. You will have to pick up 2 party members and then keep doing it, and one heal will get off. So I mean, it's just like it's just kind of a pile of bad options.
I mean, the nice thing to do, I think, and I've certainly done this at this point in time, the nice thing about CPU is that the bit is going to mazer you for 10% of your party's damage, and the other healing bit at the very beginning of the fight, if you don't kill it, it will heal up the back bit for 10% of its health. So if you're ever wondering, okay, how much damage do I have to do to this back CPU, just add a 0 to whatever you see healed. And then you can kind of make an educated guess at that point in time. You're like, okay, I have this many darts. I can bluff up Palom a few times. With a combination of all of that, you get to the point where you're like, okay, yeah, if I can do a solid 6,000 damage with this Quake, I know I'm set. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route we end up going, because we've done quite a bit of damage at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting note, Korgs beelined to Mist and bought the Boomerang that was in that shop, which I believe Charlie also has. I didn't quite catch because there's forerunners doing all sorts of things, but I'm gonna guess Korgs had seen that shot before and didn't have an edge and didn't know edge was in the seed, so just didn't bother with it. But knows that CPU is down the hook route and says, yeah, I'm gonna really need that boomerang to help do damage. So I really like that heads up play, remembering that those were in that shop. Chat pointing out, you technically can life glitch or not life glitch, you technically get experience from the little orbs. You could keep killing them over and over with that quake, get more experience. Wouldn't call that efficient, but it's a thing you can do. The greater point
now.
Yeah. the greater point, of course, being that 6k quakes would really kind of help out a lot here, but certainly not an option for peasants that Palom is base level. Also, chat asked, how many bluffs does it take? Bluff is plus 16 wisdom. Palom might have 30, 20 to 30 by the time he has Quake. I'm spitballing, I don't exactly remember, but it's got to be something like 5. Or 5, 6, something like that. It's not actually too many to get max wisdom.
No, and that's what you without any gear. Like we've seen at least a Lilith rod with everything. So
and a Sork robe. I know at least Korgs had that. Rune rings, of course, because you start with 10 of them.
That being said, Peasants is the first one into the underground. Again, just reiterating the stakes because everyone's at the same point or converging on the same point. Peasants first one to the underground. Both Peasants and Reckless Charlie have to win in order for Team Wombat Milk to maintain their position as the number 1 seed and advance to the finals. If either Korgs or Rexroll win, then the Rusty Spoons will have upset the number 1 seed and will move on to the finals.
Yeah, definitely a high... Well, okay, I'm going to say high pressure situation. This is a league we're all playing for fun, right? So like it's not the highest, like I don't think it's super stressful, but I don't know exactly how these runners are feeling, but it's definitely, for the tournament specifically, it's high stakes at the moment. By the way, Magus Sisters are at the top of tower spot. It's good to know that boss is there. You don't have to be surprised by it somewhere else. If you have a mute dagger, which I'm not sure if we have, but if not, that Mute Dagger will help Edge deal all sorts of damage. So between that and Quake, top tower actually could be pretty quick. So like if a tower key shows up sooner than later, that might be a check the runners are incentivized to do. So, I mean, even Keela's tower is technically a thing, but I mean, we're probably going to do, I would imagine, Dwarf Castle before that. But who knows? There's a lot to do underground, honestly. You can go a number of different ways.
Ooh, Reckless Charlie!
Charlie's through?
Charlie's through with the Quakes and the Zerking Edge and was just so much... I mean, that's Reckless Charlie. Say it right there. But Charlie certainly played into that. My goodness, that was significantly faster than Peasants. Playing very dangerously, but still getting through.
Good old plan Q. I mean, it works when it works. Yeah, Charlie, understanding the stakes, knows I just gotta put the gas. I gotta put my foot fully on the gas pedal. And yeah, like I said, taking that risk really paid off for him because yeah, I definitely felt maybe a couple minutes faster. I mean, I don't know. We'd have to go back and actually count it, but it was certainly faster. Now, Peasants did choose to turn on that pan right away, and then has gone to the other corner of the underground, finds yet another ninja sword. That's a spot. That's a loot spot you rarely see, by the way.
Hey, you just have spare Muras if we really are worried about it at that point in time.
God, edge weapons everywhere. And then Thorhammer, which I want to say is the air quote worst of the forge weapons, but it's still pretty good.
I would take
or maybe
the
axe is maybe the axe is slightly worse. Either way, they're all amazing. Thorhammer's amazing.
Yeah, I would take the worst Sid weapon over any of the caster weapons at all. Like, I mean, even the Geigen axe, like you say, it's the worst, but Kane can equip it, Sussel can equip it. Like, it's versatility.
Yeah, you can't. That's why Sid is so good, at least with the Forge, along with other reasons. You can't go wrong with it. So yeah, Thor Hammer, basically an Excalibur. Also, Charlie, more recklessness. Wanting to do a little bit of looting going down that pan route, says, you know what, I'd love to spike an adamant armor, and takes on, it was 2 more balls and 2 trees. Oh, only gets paid out with but, says, I'll check the second one. And, oh man, it's the 6 ghosts. Is this quake going to go off right away? It does.
Yeah.
Oh, well done, Charlie.
Dwarf Axe Sid, RA1, does it again.
Yeah. Good setup. Knows he can kill these traps. Guaranteed. I think maybe the 2 mortals. Oh, and gets paid off with the adamant armor out of the 6 ghost chests. Oh, amazing. Good stuff. Yeah, Charlie also with that cursed ring, he might have put that on Sid as well.
Meanwhile, Peasant shows us Sheila 1 and 2 is rewarded with the Earth Crystal and the Sand Ruby. So a couple of key items. Yeah, it's one of those. Do the freebies, do your objectives at that point in time. So that is objective 6 and 7. We have 1 and 4 done. What is the seed? I did not know. Hushed Pyramid. I'm just wondering, did you have somewhere to be tonight? Because we would like some more free enterprise, please.
Stardust Rod from Rat Tail Turn, by the way. Also, did Peasants go down into the Fey March?
No, absolutely not. The Fey March has not been touched yet. But
so
another is going there.
Yeah, another one of those interesting gamble/efficiency plays. Peasant says, you know what? I've got so much to do. I'm going to put off going into the Fey March, hoping that if I need to deal with King Queen Eblan, the King Queen of the Summon Monsters, either of those fights, that I'm a little more geared up, a little more set up for it. Basically says, I don't need to do it right away. And it is a Baron Key, which that's going to create divergence for sure. Baron Key out of that Fey March freebie Charlie just showed us. Peasant's getting a Porum as well from the Sand Ruby. It's an objective. And actually, I think he took the Porum. Gets rid of the Edward. Wow, Ninja Shirt and the Fey March shot. This is just literally everything for Edge you could possibly want. I mean, you're probably not going to buy a Ninja Shirt, but...
Now, if I pick one up along the way, I'll use it, but...
Yeah. Korg's, meanwhile, in that CPU fight as well. Rex through the fight. So yeah, that puts Korg slightly, behind everyone else. But we know that Korg's still a little bit extra and did kind of a backwards. Backwards is not like worse, but just kind of went into the different direction, kind of for his open world, his early game routing. But Korg's will probably have the most power heading underground. No treasury check tonight. Don't blame Peasants. It's max tier 5 on this flag set, so the 18 boxes sitting there in the treasury, like, yeah, you can get something pretty good maybe, but probably won't miss out, especially with all the power we currently have.
I tried to see the bosses that were there and the Fey March, as Reckless Charlie is checking it. I thought I saw dolls and a sparkle. I hope someone can, verify that for me. But dolls and a sparkle would be fantastic. Plus, throwing the adamant on your edge, because why not? The back row of the dolls, the blue ones, are susceptible to hourglasses, so you can prevent the transformation. That means it's pretty free at this point in time if we opt to do it. So I think that's what Charlie's doing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting. Charlie knows that Plague is not that sparkle. So all the bosses that are left, you actually have to kind of deal with. But Charlie almost awkwardly has a lot of incentive to take on that fight if it's sort of doable because of that adamant armor, which could really change the texture of this race depending on what it has there. So this might be pretty unique to Charlie as opposed to the rest of the 3 runners when they get down here. Because if they see, a boss that they don't really want to deal with, because they don't really have the defense to get through it, You know, I could see someone fading out whereas Charlie takes it, but anyways, they'll all do the dolls because Quake just really takes care of them, no problem. Peasants also took the time to go find the Earth Crystal trap chest. Ooh, spoon for the dolls.
Rewarded.
Have a spoon word. Nice. Looks like Peasant's got a ribbon for his trouble. That is very useful to have actually for Golbez specifically. I don't mind it. Probably not what he really wanted, but D-Lunars is the king spot. This is a dangerous fight, and Charlie is incentivized to take it because that edge is going to survive no matter what. It's going to be really interesting.
Well, their fire casts are a percentage-based attack, so, you know, Adamant will only go so far here. But
their punches. I'm pretty sure Edward's still losing health. I think he took like a near 3k hit to the face, whereas Edge took a punch and only took 1 damage. So yeah, Edge is not guaranteed to get through the fight, but Edge is very survivable. And then we got the blinks. So I think Charlie's. You know, you set up for the frog strat where they reflect the breath, and for reasons of programming in this game, frog shouldn't take effect on this boss, but it ends up doing it. So we'll see.
Charlie is just completely rewarded. So many punches are hitting the people you want it to hit with the reflect strats.
Goes the Palom. There goes the Sid. Like I said, those punches are outrageous. Oh, Rosa's got to have some sort of dragon defense or undead defense, something like a wizard hat. So pretty well managed there. It does bring the Edward in just in time to be breathed, but also unfortunate, kind of losing the 50-50 there. The breath didn't go onto the other D-laners, so you're gonna have to deal with this fight slightly differently. We'll be fine. You punch the frog first, it'll set up the wall script, but it can't actually cast wall, and then we're gonna be okay. Meanwhile, Peasants finds Fusoya, the Earth Crystal, and Cecil. This is the Lunarian starting pack right here.
Like, yes, I will take all of the power that is located up on the Earth Crystal check. Thank you and goodbye.
Now, funny enough, I don't think we've seen a Holy Sword, have we?
We've not, but...
I mean, Cecil's still really... Yeah, Cecil's still very strong. I mean, you're just going to take him. I don't blame Peasants for letting go of Palom. His Palom didn't really have a lot of experience on him. And says, yeah, Fusoya is basically worth more than the twins combined. Which at this point in time for him is true. Alright, these D-Lunars can get slightly out of hand here. Charlie needs to heal. Because every counter is going to be a flame, and then it is... I don't know exactly its ordering on its own turn, if it flames, if it punches, whatever's going on. But the flames are actually kind of dangerous if they keep happening. But Charlie's keeping the fight up pretty well. Meanwhile, D-Mist at the this is the Valvalis spot. Pretty convenient, honestly. You can check D-Mist right after this.
Yep, we'll fall over pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Korgs is doing what I think we would call the more traditional play, not immediately doing some of these other checks, going to Dwarf Castle, not following the objectives, just saying, hey, I'm down here, I'm gonna play my game. Dark Elf here looks like opted not to keep whoever the other character was.
Yeah, I definitely missed that myself. Now, it's interesting about this, but oh, Fusoya just learned Nuke. That's kind of funny. Anyways. The kind of interesting thing for Korgs is that I believe the warp glitch is on, correct?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so Korgs doesn't have a way... Okay, his Palom could be level 29. I'm not exactly sure. If it is, then his Palom's fine. We'll have warp, but otherwise might not have access to that warp. Twin Harp out of Zot. Another objective that Pan is pretty much hard required, isn't it? Or actually, I don't know if Earth was Sheila 1 or 2.
And I think was Sheila 1. So not necessarily hard required, but...
Oh, here's the character now. Oh, it's Tella. Yeah, I don't think we care.
Yeah, so we are either a Tower Key or a Golbez from Go Mode at this point in time.
Oh my god, actually, good point. Tella has warp. If Corks didn't have warp, he just got it now. That's pretty funny. Because Tella was at the dwarf spot. Crystal Ring from Demist. I don't mind having a Crystal Ring, honestly. In Potion Party, it is one of the most powerful things you can buy early game. It just does a whole lot of things. It's very good defensively. It's got agility on it. I don't mind having that. Defense Sword from D-Lunars is not exactly what Charlie wanted, and I think the other runners... are going to have pretty good incentive to fade it, so that might be some time lost for Charlie, but, you know, you take the gamble, and it doesn't matter, because Charlie is really kind of killing it right now. I think he's doing very well in this race. Of course, it is hard to say. Everyone's a little bit split in Divergence, you know, a little hard to say who's in the lead at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. I will say that I think Peasants has got to be very pleased with how he's played this seed so far. You know, 4 objectives already down at 48 minutes. You're on the 5th objective, only 1 more to go, 1 away from Go Mode. Got to be feeling fantastic right now with the choices that he's made, because everything just seems to be coming up Peasants up to this point in the seed.
Oh yeah, I mean, if he ends up soon finding you know, the last objective he needs, then yeah, Peasants is clearly far and ahead in the lead of everyone else. Really depends. Really depends where Golbez and the Tower Key are. Alright, Charlie heading over to Dwarf himself makes a lot of sense. Rex is now going to go run down and turn in that pan. Korg's finishing up Dwarf, does a little shopping, finds coffins. Would have found exits if he didn't have that Tella. Meanwhile, though, Peasants is doing Twin Harp. I suppose we should let people listen to music, huh?
I suppose. DJ Spoony B, take it away. We have an important update when he gets back. All right. Even at a high magic spot, Nuke says never having to say you're sorry. But as Korgs is pointing out, we did find that Tower Key. It was in Dwarf Castle, which is kind of along the route that we're normally going to expect Peasants to do, I think. I mean, we can... With everything else that we found, I get the sense that, yeah, that's kind of right along the route right now.
Yeah, without Darkness showing up especially, it's kind of... It's like that or Top of Tower, the last things he's got. So Peasants is really well positioned to take this. I agree with that. By the way, Twin Harp music, Cloud of Darkness, Final Fantasy III. If you haven't played Final Fantasy III, but you play Final Fantasy XIV, you might be very familiar with that song. As
I have nightmares
level 50
about that.
raid.
Yeah.
So many times I've played that. I've run through that. But it's a great song. All right, and Peasant's heading down, and oh yeah, it needs to check the Fey March first, actually. So does need to do this. It's the next logical check because it could just be, the tower key is just sitting here. Peasants also might be incentivized to take on both of these Fey March bosses, just given that he doesn't have a lot left. And if he does that, that will give some time back.
Peasants no longer has Edward, so the spoon
No.
is not going to necessarily be helpful. It'll be a nice dart.
It's a dart. It's a great dart. Yeah. Quad 9s is still pretty strong. But yeah, one time instead of having a spoon word. I mean, yeah, Calbarina for sure will get taken care of, but Peasants might be slightly more incentivized to take on the D-Lunars, just because he's here, doesn't want to come back, and knows it's like between the D-Lunars, the Keyless Tower, and Dwarf, and all of those right now are kind of slow. Dwarf, of course, is more incentivized because it's two bosses and it's the warp glitch, so I think that's the logical place to go next, but you never know. Sometimes you like to throw in a little curveball in your routing so it's not all super hyper-optimized logical, because, RNG in single games doesn't really care about what's more optimal. Peasant's gonna take on the warrior chest, looking for maybe adamant armor.
Oh boy, that was that's really rough. Everyone's at 1 HP. You try to get off hourglasses, which is fine, but everyone gets a swing. And okay. The problem is that 5 warriors, 5 swings, everyone at 1 HP.
Yeah, it looks spooky, but the thing is that you get time in between their punches to pick somebody up, which is what Peasants ended up doing. Also, for whatever reason, Edge in particular loves to dodge the hits from these warriors. I don't know if they have the greatest of accuracy. So I think that was a calculated risk. Knew he would be pretty okay. Finds a Zeus Claw, which is, I mean, it's fine. It's good. It's not an adamant armor, which we're gonna say to literally every trap chest that isn't an adamant armor. But these are moments that Peasants is kind of given time back. Oh, right, in that Baron key. Peasants might be incentivized to do that Baron key instead, too. It's pretty interesting. I think Peasants is a known Baron hater, though.
Here's the thing, though. When you're in a tournament race, especially in a semifinals race, and it's a must-win scenario, like it is for Peasants and Reckless Charlie. Like, yes, it's the semifinals, and it's win or go home. With there's always a little bit of high pressure, but especially now, that choice that you have to make right now, like, I guarantee that Peasants is wondering right now, what do I do? It's 2 checks in Baron, it's 2 checks in Dwarf Castle. Dwarf is right there, so it would probably be slightly more efficient to do it that, but you can see the justification of, oh, well, this was just sitting there, I gotta go do it.
And I just missed what tower key had, but Korgs is kind of finished up with his tower play. Gonna head down to the Fey March now. Now for Peasants, I think if I were Peasants, I would feel pretty good about how I've played so far. Like, things have lined up very efficiently and, in my favor. That would incentivize me to keep going in that straight line towards, like, proximity plays and things that are more efficient instead of going more out of the way. And if that's the case, maybe you take on the D-Lunars, because it is right here. And I think otherwise you certainly take on the Dwarf Castle. Now, we don't know if he's going to take that mindset or he's going to say, well, I'll fade something and try to find my go mode elsewhere. But I think he's pretty incentivized to take on Dwarf. But meanwhile, like, everyone else is catching up to, finding these objective key items. The seed is honestly kind of straightforward as far as where to go, with just, some distractions. Darkness being hidden really is helping out from the straightforwardness perspective, because, the entire moon's just really not going to be in play. Most likely this seed. You'll need it to, like, beat Saromas, but otherwise.
I think we're in a very fortunate position that we are likely going to get to dodge Golbez. So Laughing Man might still appear in this seed. I don't want to rule it out, but based on everything we've seen on Peasant side and the pathing that he could possibly take, Golbez could be in Baron, but I think it's more likely at this point that both Peasants and really all of our runners will likely eventually dodge Laughing Man, and it's just going to be a matter of, okay, where's the Darkness Crystal?
Yeah, I mean, Golbez could be in a number of spots. There's kind of almost too many to really count on it, because the entire moon, there's the giant, there's the package. Now, there could be Baron, and Baron could be Darkness with Golbez in it. I mean, we don't exactly know yet. And by the way, Peasants is going to run down like I was thinking was possible. It's slightly more incentivized to do this. I think Peasants is going to go take on this D-laner fight. At least check it. I don't know if he's seen it. But once he sees it, he might stay.
I mean, you have...
Yeah. Okay, he resets. All right. That's going to work out better for him for this seed. He says, nah, it's not worth my time. It's going to leave. I really like that choice. It's a very disciplined, like, no, I just want to do things that are faster.
Those are the plays that separate I think the good and the great FE players.
And Peasants is having a dwarf.
Yeah, this is fantastic for Peasants. Yeah, that separates the good from the greats. Knowing when something, yeah, I can do this, but it's going to take me too much time, and it's just a check. There's so much else to do. Let's dodge it. And that is a very difficult call to make in the heat of the moment, in the heat of a race. So kudos to Peasants for making that call. It's the correct call in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it paid out really well for him this seed, but in another seed, it might not pay out at all. Maybe that D-Lunar spot had exactly what you needed, and by fading it, you end up, like, losing entirely because of it. Like, that does happen, but it's all about having educated guesses in games like this. Like, I have a good likelihood of getting through the seed if I fade this boss, and so I'm going to do it. And that's what makes those decisions difficult, because it is random chance. You're basically like taking a card from the top of a deck and throwing it out and saying, no, I'm going to take the next card instead. It's that kind of thing that you see benefit from over many games over a long period of time. That's really what separates, I think, good runners from like the really top, is making those decisions consistently over many, many, many races.
Absolutely. No, I'm 100% on board with you on that one. So Peasants through the first boss. Fantastic. We'll see Korgs on the breath for Lunar Frogs. We know this is not going to end up paying out, unfortunately. Rexrawl is in Earth Crystal Tower right now. This is just a fantastic close race. Remember, both Peasants and Reckless Charlie have to beat. It's Peasants versus Korgs, Reckless Charlie versus Rexrawl. Each runner has to, both Peasants and Reckless have to win for Team Wombat Milk to advance to the finals. If either Korgs or Rexrawl win their respective races, the Rusty Spoons advance to the finals. I know I've said it like 100 times, but I feel like it's got to be reiterated every so often. Like, that's how close and the stakes for this match. Both have to win. Peasants is in good shape right now, so we also got to keep a close eye on the bottom races here, where it is very tight as well.
Yeah, Charlie is also in a really good spot, has done many efficient things, especially getting down that hook route, plan queuing that CPU boss with Berserks and bluffed up Quakes, getting through that fight faster than, honestly, all other three runners. Rex, I believe, has chosen to fade Fabul with that pan, and so is going to have to do Fabul still, right, for half of Forge, and then I think at that point he'll probably go do Ordeals, which has the other half of Forge, but those are still pretty long checks that he has to do, whereas Charlie has these key items in hand. So, I think it's looking pretty good for Team Wombat Milk right now.
Well, it's particular good as we see Peasants pick up what is here, the tower key. That is, well, here's the thing. It's no mode for us. Like, we are in go mode. We can get our objectives done. And at this point, it is just, hey, how do I beat Zeramus? How do I get there? Please. We're still hunting for the Darkness Crystal. At this point, it's got to be in either Baron, Liberate Baron or in the Baron basement.
Yeah, that's why you see Peasants do the warp glitch there, because he still needs either a pass or the Darkness Crystal. So yeah, given everything that's played out in this seed, we've seen Demist, we've seen really everything. It's got to be in Baron. That Darkness just has to be there. And then that will be go mode for probably everybody. Maybe Rex might find it sooner by doing Baron, because Rex has a really nice play of Earth Crystal into Baron, because he's going to get dropped right off of Baron, so I might actually do that right now. And then... Oh no, he's going to pick up the hovercraft. No, he's going to pick up the aircraft. Probably going to run to his objective, actually. That makes more sense, because Twin Harp's an objective. But still could end up doing that Baron sooner than later and get Darkness. We'll see how it plays out. Peasant's doing a little bit of shopping. Does need to figure out what he's doing endgame. He has one really powerful Zerker. I don't know what he has. Actually, sorry, he has 2 powerful Zerkers. Cecil can kind of exist. I don't know what he has for him. I don't think Peasants has that defense sword. Buys some Bacchus wine. Probably, worth his time to get. Does need to run up the tower, but he'll only have to do the half tower. Well, okay. Peasants might still do the top of tower for Darkness. I'm not actually sure.
He might. He might. And that's the problem with this particular play. Like, that might be something that, hey, you're in go mode and, okay, you go do your objective. But on the off chance, like, okay, if it's not here, and then Golbez is in Baron Castle, then theoretically you get all 7 objectives done, and this whole thing is a waste of time for Peasants.
Yeah, because Baron...
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, because Baron was from the tower key, right? The cannon room? Or was it top of tower?
Baron was from the Feymarch freebie.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So, of course, he's currently having... I'm here, I promise.
It is interesting, because when the first runner pulled that, you made the comment that, hey, this might create a lot of divergence, because someone could very well... That's very tempting to go turn in. And it is... And no one has done it, and it's driven me crazy.
By the way, Charlie says no to both Cecil and Fusoya. I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, he has Sid, Edge, and Edward, who are all kind of all-stars at the moment. Edward is kind of unreliable at Zeromus, because he almost certainly is going to die to that first nerfed Big Bang, but Charlie says, I already have the power, I need to get through the seed, I don't need anybody else. So that's kind of why he made that play. Gonna get his Twin Harp out of this as well, and then keep gunning down his objectives in a pretty good position here, whereas Rex has to do ordeals kind of on the back foot. But it is interesting. You have to think about how you're killing Zeromus. Everyone's got a good enough setup to do it. I liked Peasants doing a little shopping just to find Bacchus wine, because it's going to make Zeromus simpler for him. But, Fusoya pretty powerful, pretty well able to help at Zeromus as well. So I would have liked to see Charlie take that food, but that's okay. I think he's going to be just fine. But yeah, this is just Where's That Darkness. Peasants does do top of tower, remembers that it's Magus Sisters up here. I want to say you set up a save scum, so when this has nothing, we'll probably reset and then run straight down.
Yeah, save a handful of steps and get back down a couple flights of stairs or something like that. But...
Yep, here's objective number 5 for Charlie. Or maybe it's 4. Yeah, no, it's 5. That'll be the Sand Ruby. Just needs to do that Magnus, and then he'll also have his crystal. Now Rex does have Fusoya, who also just learned Nuke. I don't know why, that just cracks me up.
it's like we're threatening the old man. It's like, you're not allowed unless you know nuke. And he's like, I will learn it immediately.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Yeah, chat pointing out peasants might just keep the experience. That's also pretty viable. I mean, this is worth an egg, basically. And I actually don't know if we've seen sirens this seed.
I don't think we have, honestly, which does leave a bit of a crack in all of this. So yeah, peasants opts to keep the experience right now.
Yeah,
Now,
that makes
there
sense.
could be sirens up on the moon because we still have one item shop on the moon to check.
If not, there's a couple things that you can do. You could take on behemoths. Those are guaranteed to find. You could do a walk and grind and just kind of turn on encounters at like LST4, which has a pretty good chance of getting encounters worth experience, and just take a couple of those. You could try checking a couple of moon spots to see if you can get a spike of experience. If we started with a siren in the starting kit, I'm not sure if we did or not. That honestly might be enough because you can get 2 gold dragons and life glitch 1. But I mean, peasants definitely has options. Plus, you can probably do this fight pretty low level because you have a Fusoya. Chat pointing out I can't run is on, so the walk and grind is a little riskier. Maybe riskier from a time wasting perspective. I don't think there's an encounter that like isn't worth some amount of experience that is super slow on like LST4 specifically. Like maybe the Warlock and the D-Lunar looking thing might be the worst. Oh, it's the Magma Key from the Tower Key? That's cute.
No, I'm not memeing, guys. I don't care what you all say. That meme is retired.
Yay, we're not memeing now. Sorry, I had to.
I appreciate you.
Look. I feel contractually obligated. I didn't even put my full effort to it, okay? I can get much more droll than that.
Meanwhile, Peasants is doing exactly what we need to do. Gotta change the subject at this point. First one into Baron is going to be Peasants, which, certainly this is the bottleneck as we all see it. Korg's going over doing the Twin Harp right now. Peasants going over and is immediately, not immediately, but certainly doing this Baron. We know the solution has to be somewhere here, and we're about out of other places to check. The only key items we do not have are the Pass, the Darkness Crystal, the Luca Key, and the Pink Tail. Now, none of those gate any other key item, so Darkness Crystal has to be here. The question is, if you check one spot, do you check the other one hoping that maybe the pass is there?
No, absolutely not. You take what you know and you run. Like you could, if you're feeling really nervous and you think that you're not winning, take the gamble to try to find a fast fight. They're not all fast in the basement and then get that pass, and then yeah, you would save time, but I don't think that's a gamble worth taking. Certainly not for Peasants, who I think has to be feeling really good about his position. It is one of those plays to keep in mind, though, for other seeds and other situations where it might be a little bit more viable, but I think in this one, it's I don't think it's a question. Alright, so not the Golbez finds a Sparkle on the Baron Throne. We know D-Lunars are gone, we know Plague is gone, so okay, this is Wyvern. Witchburn could do something tricky, or it could just beam. Good talk.
Yay! Okay, yeah. Witchburn, normally that Mega Nuke is super scary, but with Witchburn, I'm fine.
The only one I can think of that is spooky is Glance, which is the doll's ability to AoE charm the entire party. If you want to see a team die real quick, charm some very powerful berserkers.
By the way, look at Korg swagging here with his extra add-on. Okay,
that's a Korg's classic. Shout out to Korg's. Korg's has the highest production value of many streamers that I've seen. Also runs, at least in the past, I don't know if he's still currently doing it, but the wrestling league game with the Final Fantasy IV characters, super fun. All right, what's in the Baron pot? It's either darkness is either here or it is in the basement. Hey, it's darkness.
Yeah,
Peasants
there we
is
go.
officially in go mode. And Charlie's gonna be honestly right on his right on his heels. They just need to solve a little bit of a grind, maybe. Peasants might say Fusoya is good enough. Charlie did not keep that Fusoya and is absolutely gonna have to find a little more experience for his party. Charlie might also honestly go grab that Fusoya if he's thinking that it might be necessary, because you'll be going to Miss City to raise this lunar whale. And yeah, Chat's making a good point. I think Charlie of all these runners is maybe the only one with perfect anchoring with the Cursed Ring. With the Zerkers and the Dwarfax, I don't think it's too much of a concern for any of the party members, really. Maybe if you're trying to get fancy with Fusoya, low-level Fusoya strats, perfect anchoring is kind of difficult to get with Fusoya specifically, though Peasants does have a crystal ring. But yeah, Peasant steps into Mysidia. I think he's thinking about this Zeromus fight.
Yeah, level 36. So we got through the seed and have all the objectives and can absolutely go to Zeromus right now, but at level 36, he still would hit pretty hard right now. So we have to solve the grind. Going to be checking this item shop for Siren, which would be the easiest answer to that grind.
Yeah, our runners want to see Sirens here. Absolutely want to see Sirens. They're not guaranteed. They're in most seeds, but this shop could have... Okay, it's got the Sirens. We're good. No worries. Let's buy a pile of them. We've already got the hourglasses. It's just a question of how many you want to do. I wouldn't even be selling stuff here. Like, I don't think you need that many. Yeah, like 10. Doesn't says I want 15. 14 or 15. But yeah, Sirens in hand, we've got our way much more guaranteed to get through the final boss with power. So it's definitely Peasants' race to lose versus Korgs, and honestly, Charlie's race to lose versus Rex as well.
Absolutely. Both of these teams obviously very skilled runners. So, I mean, this would be fantastic for Team Wombat Milk coming up for the 2-1 win. Oh, hey, I told you we wouldn't find Kane for a while.
You absolutely called that. We did start with the White Spear, the very beginning of the seed. Peasants kindly donated that to CPU's body with a dart. Looks at that Kane, stares at it. That might be a moment of like, where were you? That lets him go.
I could have used an hour ago, but you know.
Yep. Yeah, now speaking of our other two runners, also very, very strong competitors, Korgs and Rex. I think the thing that has really caught them this seed is just the choice in routing. Like, I don't think they've played this seed bad at all. They've made very good, strong decisions. Just the ordering of things really worked out for both Peasants and Charlie. They kind of ended up in the go mode line, whereas Korgs and Rex have had to kind of go about it maybe a little bit backwards, I'll say, for this seed, anyways.
Oh, absolutely. And worth pointing out, you know, we mentioned that Team Wombat Milk is the 1 seed and Rusty Spoons is the 4 seed. Worth pointing out, the team records are a little bit different, but from the match record perspective, the Rusty Spoons had a superior match record to any other team in the tournament. They were 18-6 as a team going into the finals. Meanwhile, Team Wombat Milk had one more loss at 17-7. So even though it was a 4 seed, the Rusty Spoons earned more wins in the tournament than any other team in the tournament. So it was a 4-1 matchup, but you know, you can't call it, you know, an upset or an underdog or anything, because these were two very evenly matched teams.
Oh yeah, and especially, I mean, the way I see it, these top 4 teams are all exceptionally good. Like, any one of them can go toe-to-toe with any other one of them. Like, it's kind of dealer's choice as to who, well, I don't know if dealer's choice, but it could be any of them that could get through the finals, any of them that could, find themselves on the back foot. Essence does check the ribbon room. It's kind of funny. Maybe hoping for an easier fight for EXP so he didn't have to do these sirens, but says, okay, well, that Mylan and Friends not really fast. Now we're going to do his sirens.
I like that cheeky play, because if it was something free that you could throw, he did buy coffins earlier that you can just throw a bunch of coffins on for some easy experience. Absolutely take that.
Yeah, that could have been the Baron Guards. It probably would have been the perfect thing to find there. You hourglass them, you coffin life glitch, and then you get access to the 2 chests in the back, which one of them could be a crystal sword, which peasants would certainly be happy with. I'm going to say he doesn't need it with the Sid and the Edge. But, that Cecil has maybe the worst endgame gear I've seen in a long time.
Especially for a Cecil, right? Like, we're used to Cecil in these flag sets, like, crystal sword, adamant armor, let me solo Zeromus through half the fight, like, kind of setups. And...
Yep.
It is worth noting there. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to say Sid is basically that character, but he's the anchor, so like he would never be as good as Cecil would be just by being the anchor. Go ahead.
I was going to point out, just as a reminder, we have found 1 adamant armor in this seed. Reckless Charlie, maybe proving his namesake correct, had perfect anchoring set up and took a couple sylph chests on his way down to the early check, resulting in 1 adamant armor being pulled out of, I think, 2 trap chests that were down there. So
yeah,
definitely a little bit more sauce on Charlie's side.
Yeah, Charlie got so rewarded by that play. I think it was so smart and heads up because he knew he had the anchoring situation. And to be fair, he was the only one who really had it, I believe. I believe he's the only one who found that cursed ring. He knew that he would get experience from those trap chests and that he didn't have to go hunting for all of them. You just take the chests that on the way down to doing the pan. And if you get paid out, great. And if you don't, oh well, you didn't spend too much time on it. So yeah, he really only opened a few boxes to get... he put himself in a position to be strongly rewarded for not much risk, and it just paid out so well.
And look, we're not done yet. Korgs is on his way to the moon himself, with Crystal in hand and ready to defeat Zeromus. Peasants doing the grind, doing the weak casts. I don't know what levels Korgs is at, but this is, you're gonna have to be a little bit comfortable. Looks like he's close, but also gaining levels very quickly. So this is not going to be free. If Peasants takes a wipe, certainly Korgs is right back in it.
Yeah, this is going to come down to an execution race between Peasants and Korgs now. Peasants certainly has, I would say, at least a minute or 2, maybe even like 2 or 3 minutes of advantage here, because Korgs has to run all the way down the LST and then take on a grind, almost certainly. But you still have to ask, how much of a grind do I want to take? How efficient is my grind going to be? Currently, we have to cast Weak, and then Punch, and then Life Glitch. It's not the fastest. Though, I mean, it might be the fastest available for both of them, but, every little decision now is going to cost little amounts of time, and they're going to add up in ways where Korgs could theoretically find a way to catch up. I'm going to say it's unlikely, but the race is not over yet. Especially if Korgs chooses to go in lower level and Peasants chooses to get like a large grind going.
Yeah, and Korgs is not stopping for Sirens. It says, nope, I'm good. I don't know what Korgs' levels are. It does look like Peasants is done with his grind, though. So, yeah, a few minutes and about 10 levels, I want to say.
Korgs might be very comfortable with what we call the Fu and Friends strat, where Fusoya carries most of your Zeromus fight, and everyone else is there to sort of punch and deal some damage. And, I mean, Korgs has a lot of damage on his team, on his lower-level team, with the Thor Hammer and the Double Masa and some darts, especially the Spoon Dart. So he might think that it's good enough to set up so that you deal enough damage with the other party members, and then you reflect Nuke the rest of your damage to kill Zeromas and kind of get a reflect kill. And for that, you don't really need that many levels. You just need to be able to survive a nerfed Big Bang, which means you need more than 1,200 hit points on the party members who matter. Now, Peasants has chosen to take on the White Spear altar, I believe. Maybe having a moment of feeling uncomfortable. I'm not entirely certain. This spot doesn't have the most... This is kind of like an egg, basically. Maybe is just really hoping for that holy weapon, but kind of on the face of it, it's something I'm gonna be very curious to ask about. Because this is giving Korgs time.
Yeah, that's got to be the only reason that I can think of. I was trying to get his Holy Sword because that Cecil is underperforming for his slot. The rest of the party can take care of it. I mean, hey, why not? I'm sure.
It's not a Holy Sword, but it's an Avenger. Like, good enough. Hey, it gets paid out. I think his team is sweating bullets in chat right now.
I see you guys. They're like, what are you doing? You know what? I've watched many a race.
And we say that, yeah, and we say this in love. I mean, Peasant's a very good runner, so I don't feel too uncomfortable. Maybe questioning that play a little bit, but still in the lead. Gets paid out pretty well with an Avenger. That's going to help with the Zeromas fight, though he's not going to want to go into the fight wearing it, so that's actually kind of tricky. But yeah, I think it is time to fight the final boss of this game. Speaking of memes we're not going to do.
Oh, do you want me to do the thing?
Well, I mean, we're going to fight a final boss.
Okay, we are going to fight a final boss. Okay, so we do see some Z flags in chat. Those Z flags do not mean it's nap time, although it is getting pretty close to mine.
Dang, we did it. That's okay.
I know.
It's okay. I ruined yours. I ruined your day. You ruined mine. It's great.
That's fair. So, what do the Z flags mean? Well, we're Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. We're a randomizer community. We randomize the songs, we randomize the bosses. About the only thing we can't randomize is the Zeromus sprite, or Zeromus into the boss pool. It's just a little too complicated right now. So what do? Well, there's more than 600 different sprites that can pop up when we use the crystal and he reveals his true colors. So, the Z flag is asking one very important question to us. Whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
Okay, Peasants did not start with that Avenger on. He could have actually started with the Avenger on, and funny enough, it would have thrown a crystal. If, well, okay, he doesn't have perfect anchoring, actually, which is kind of the problem. If he had perfect anchoring, Sid would take the first turn, throw the crystal, and then Cecil would actually duplicate the crystal throw because of a glitch with the Avenger. It's kind of tricky because when you put on an Avenger, if you don't take an action, you're actually gonna glitch the weapon power of what you're wearing. So Peasants might end up glitching his Avenger into whatever not very good axe that he's wearing. So he has to be a little careful about that.
That is not good agility.
That's a fast shake. Probably also explains why he spent a lot of time grinding. Didn't feel comfortable probably with his agility situation. Meanwhile, Korgs, I mean, also right in this fight. I mean,
they started almost simultaneously. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so Korgs is going to do the Fu and Friends strategy. It is slower than a straight-up Zerker kill. However, with the agility situation kind of uncertain, there are a lot of ways that this fight can go not wrong in a losing perspective, but can get out of hand and cost him a lot of time. So this is very close, as Charlie is also stepping into the fight.
All right, so we see Crystal being thrown by Cecil. Because we have all the Star Veils that are on the party, we're intentionally casting no damage spells to get these reflected nukes that are rolling. So this is how Fu and Friends ends up going. We are throwing darts while we still can, while he's at lower levels. There's a weird property in Final Fantasy IV, in all setups in Final Fantasy IV, where
Fight's going so fast for Korgs here.
Yeah, I mean, they're both going incredibly fast. We have gotten some slows up.
Yeah, so he's direct targeting a nuke intending to nerf, but the Big Bang went out too quickly. Instead, Zeromus is going to... Actually, never mind. He's set up all the walls. I'm going to calm down.
Yeah. So what I was getting at is that if you hit an enemy with a reflected spell, it will not trigger any counter scripts that are programmed into that particular spot. One of the counter scripts in Zeromus is an HP refill at roughly half of his HP, or what's intended to be about half of his HP. So it gets you down to about 60,000 health or so, and then it refills back up, and then you kill him. That's how you got around HP caps at that point in time. Well, when you do it right, and you don't trigger the HP refill script, because all you're doing is throwing reflected nukes back at him, then it really halves the amount of HP that you have to deal in terms of damage to the Zeromus.
Yeah, they didn't have enough room on the SNES ROM to give bosses the amount of health that they really wanted to, so that was kind of a pretty clever workaround, is to just refill back up. So the fight is pretty well managed by all three of our runners so far. It is honestly difficult to say. I think Peasants is still kind of lined up well to take this, but 3 people in Zeromus is pretty hype.
Absolutely. We're not going to know a winner until we see the shake, boom, and bang at this point in time. And it's crazy. It's interesting because Peasants and Korgs are the one going against each other. Reckless Charlie is just like in commandingly for the bottom race at this point.
Well, yeah, definitely so. Though Rex has all of the objectives done, Rex still has to do the Baron key for Darkness, and then still has to take on a grind. Oh, that happened so fast. Charlie is our winner of all 4 of our racers, by the way, and definitely the winner versus Rex Raoul. Big GG's to Reckless Charlie.
Ooh, GG's. I think you saw the power of that adamant right there, but
absolutely.
Fantastic.
The adamant and having perfect anchoring with that cursed ring. So well done by Charlie. This is honestly one of the best races I think I've seen him run. He's getting so much better. He's put in a lot of time. This is one of my good friends, so like I've seen the work Charlie has put in, and I'm just so happy to see it. Now we'll see if he's available for an interview, though we've got we've got another race. It's very neck and neck here. We see Rocks on Peasants' side.
Rocks on Peasants. Black Hole
and
on
Black Hole
Korg.
for Korgs. Oh. He might have tipped. We don't know yet. I mean, Black Hole is expected. And that's it for Peasants! GG's Peasants!
GG! And that does it for Team Wombat Milk, getting the sweep tonight and moving on to the finals. Oh, just GG's to both Reckless and Peasants. And with that, I believe we are now joined in the booth simultaneously by both Peasants OMFG and Reckless Charlie. GG's to both of you, and more importantly, GG's for the win and advancing your team after last night's heartbreak, and still advancing the entire team. Just fantastic job.
Thank you. GG's.
Thank you, yeah.
GG's to Charlie.
Whew. GG's to Peasants. I mean, you called it before the race, Peasants. You're gonna have a good race, and you're gonna come in first.
I don't think it's gonna be me.
And absolutely, like, I thought, okay, he's just messing around. I've been practicing a bunch, whatever. But like, here we go, and kind of things just fell into my wheelhouse a little bit.
Yeah, all that time you put in, Charlie, I've seen the grind you've put in rewarded. So happy for you. So happy for both of you. I mean, you both needed this win here. Like, how are the two of you feeling?
So I legitimately yelled when I hit the dot gun. Like,
I love it.
yelled out loud. And thankfully, my wife, like a room away, is hard of hearing and did not wake up. So yeah, it could be like I'm still kind of calming down. I was fortunate at hitting the adamant like out of a sylph chest and like just kind of let that ride.
Silk chest, Charlie. Oh my god.
You gotta leverage the RA1 Palom when you can sometimes.
I get it. Still.
Yeah, that actually made a huge difference. It felt like, leveraging just those two trap chests, it got you a few extra levels in the underground, and that adamant armor that you pulled from there, there were no other adamant armors that anyone found, and leveraging that made everything just go so much smoother.
Yeah, and the cheeky mute ball pickup, which has been something that's kind of been a big thing for me this flex set, because I always end up with somebody with some type of mage killing gear, and warlocks are just such a decent like time efficient grind if you're on the moon and need to boost somebody, to kind of get that last little bit of experience I needed to get nuke on Palom.
So peasants, I gotta ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think our entire team has to ask a question. White Spear Altar. Tell us about this.
I don't know. I was like maybe a level or two off being like super comfortable with the stuff that I had. I also was running a rune axe, which is
Yeah.
real bad. So I was like, please give me a crystal sword, please. And it gave me an Avenger, and I was extremely happy about that. Although swapping the rune axe into an Avenger is still incredibly bad.
It's still a rune axe, but at least you didn't have to deal with him after that. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we like the spec that you got out of it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was like I wanted maybe like another level or two on my party as well, because I was out of hourglasses. I could have done another set of dragons, but without hourglasses, it's more time consuming, a bit more dangerous and stuff. So it was like, I'll go at these levels and I'll see what's at that altar. Just maybe it will give me something nice, and it did, nice enough at least, and it was a very quick fight.
Yes, that it was.
Yeah, I decided just to do I could have been reflecting whites and nukes with that as with my my mages, and then maybe just be healing with Rosa. But I decided just to play a really safe Zeramus. Obviously, it took I think about double the time that Charlie's fight took. But I thought it would be better to not wipe with a very weak smacking team than it would be to just have a slightly longer Zeramus.
Yeah, you had a different agility situation for sure as well. I think Charlie found both a cursed ring and then an adamant armor out of Sylph, which was...
I was in RA1 for basically the whole game because I had a million heroine robes. But
yes, that's true. They were everywhere.
Yeah, being able to swap, go into a fight with Dwarf Axe on and then swap into a Thor Hammer, so I could continuously be in RA1 but still be doing damage with Sid was pretty big, honestly, during that whole seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the amount of agility manipulation was more than usual for these seeds, for a hero seed, which is nice.
Yeah, and it showed because you were able to just kind of go a straight line towards your objectives and down the hook route and whatnot, and it really worked out for you, I think.
Fun scene. Pretty good.
All right, so I gotta ask this because I think context is important for everything. I want to flash back to week 5 of the tournament. This is the team. The Rusty Spoons are one of the only teams that have given your team a loss through the entire tournament, and this is a rematch of one of them. How much planning, preparation, did you go back, watch a lot of video to see what was going on in that particular race, or were you guys just determined, hey, we're going to run our races for this particular seed and just let the seed fall where they may?
I ran this like I would any of my practice seeds. No special names, nothing fancy, just and I tried to just stick with my game plan and in my general like early game routing and all, and that definitely helped. In week 5, week 5, I was off that week. I remember sitting on the sidelines. It was just kind of tough. Like
We won. I think we won against the Spoons.
I don't. Oh yeah. I don't
lost.
remember.
I personally lost to Corks, but I think.
But yeah, like I've played so many seeds and watched so much free enterprise lately that things are just kind of a blur. So yeah, no, like it's kind of good to be where we we're very thankful for things to have gone the way that they have, for sure.
For me, practice-wise, I practiced this time, which is good. I was playing a lot of Final Fantasy 1 around the other race, but yeah, I think I just played exactly the same way as last time. Like, Corks beat me last time pretty considerably. It was like a quad required Zop that I skipped. So I didn't skip Zop. I wasn't allowed to skip Zop this time, and it ended up turning out pretty good.
Okay, I did misspeak. I misread the sheet. I thought, so you guys did beat Rusty Spoons last time, but gave them one of their few losses. So my fault. You guys did win last time. I misspoke. I added extra context instead of it where I shouldn't. My bad. Sorry, guys.
All good.
I personally did lose to Corks last time, so you went wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you got a little bit of vengeance there on that one, and it was a very tight race. I'm sure you saw the end times there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, all the way around. GG's to Rex and to Corgs for sure. Like they are both quite good at this. Have been doing this for a long time. So like I feel fortunate just to kind of have been able to squeak one out.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a delight to watch and to commentate. I don't know, any other last comments from the two of you before we let you go?
Just GG's to the rest of you again. GG to Charlie, my D player, outperforming me. Just so sick. Like he's doing so much work. Everyone give him a follow because he's insane.
Well, and thanks, Peasants. I appreciate it, and thanks to y'all for doing the comms work. Looking forward to watching it back. Thanks to Darth Plagueis Scarcer for pressing the buttons. Thanks Hush Pyramid for doing all the lifting with setting up the stream and making sure everything's all spiffy and the show's put together. So thank you all very much.
Well, GG's to both of you, and here's to hoping we get to party for one more week with you. But we'll see you next week, absolutely, in the finals.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, folks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Have a great night.
All right, and now we're gonna get in just a moment here. Yep, we've got in both Corgs and Rex. GG's, you two.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How you both feeling? It's a hell of a race.
I'm 10 minutes ago I was pretty bummed, but I bounced back. It was really exciting to see the finish as it spooled out on stream, and yeah, definitely GG's to Team Wombat Milk. I guess they're our arch nemesis. I don't know how we push this going forward, but yeah, it's here now.
That's the branding for sure. No, I got a big smile on my face too. So
now I want to see this branding somehow in your wrestling league.
Well, yeah, we'll see what I can do there. Oh wow, yeah, I could just create them and set all their stats to 0. Okay, I'll work on that.
That's perfect.
I mean, as a wrestling fan, I'd have to say, I mean, those stats would be accurate. That's my problem. But they're so good. They play so well. They crushed us. What can we say?
Yeah. I don't think we can trash talk yet.
No, we can't.
But yeah, they're an amazing team. Just looking at so many of the teams, including my own team, I'm just really thankful that because Zilch and I entered because we played the 2v2 asyncs together, and I reached out to Rex, and Rex was already talking to Maggie and just putting that team together. It's just been so much fun playing with these folks, and getting to play against all these other really strong teams. So yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah, and Maggie and I were previous 2v2 partners as well, so yeah, it worked out really well when Corpse reached out.
Oh, the combination of 2v2 partners. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, Korgs, I want to ask you, I'm going to go to the end of the seed. I was very interested. I loved the kind of low-level Foonfern strategy. Was that kind of something you had in your mind kind of along when you found Fusoya? Or, what were you thinking about to kind of like finish the seed out?
I mean, the main thing I was thinking about for a really long time is how do I get to Zeromus? Because in all these really important things, Sheila seemed to be relatively important this seed, and no one was giving me a pass or a darkness. So, so there wasn't a lot of time between getting the Fu and actually getting Zeromus access. But yeah, when I saw him, and I just kind of instinctively grabbed the Cecil just in case a Crystal Sword popped up, and it actually worked out because he got to 1300 HP pretty quickly. Whereas the Tella and Palom I had going into that would have taken a little more work to get there. And at that stage, I felt like I ran a mistake-free seed, but I also did a lot. So, and I didn't feel super quick getting underground. So I just thought at that stage I just had to get to Zeromus as quickly as I could.
Yeah, I think it was really smart and heads up because when you watch, if you watch this back, I think you'll see a little bit more of a deficit between the two of you, and then you really caught up by deciding not to take a grind really at all, basically, and just run into Zeromus. I'm quite positive that saved you a lot of time. I think that was really heads up.
Yep. And I think I could have optimized that Z fight a little better, but I don't think it would have made up the time because I think I was beaten by over a minute. So I could have shaved
exactly
20, 30 seconds. Yeah. So I gave it my best and came up short against a really good player. And I'm happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rex, you as well. I think you played a really good seed. Maybe just the ordering of things for this seed didn't quite work out. I believe you faded Fabul defense, right?
Well, you're being generous with faded.
Well, I mean, it ended up being, I think in a lot of seeds, it's actually a really smart play, is what I was going to get to.
I mean, I went there for the Sheila checks, and I didn't do the Fabul defense then. And then later on, I'm like, oh, okay. So like Ford said, he felt like he played a mistake-free seed, and that's awesome. I felt that way too. But tonight, I like to contrast with my teammate, so I was the mistake-filled one. I only made 1 or 2 or 7 mistakes, but like, I didn't know that I had the Baron key. Like, I could tell that there was something wrong. Like, I went into my tracker in-game, and I just couldn't, for some reason, it was just a blind spot to me. So, yeah. I was about to be really, really confused when I went back, because I was going to those D-Lunars, because I thought that had to be progress, and didn't realize that I had the answer in my hand.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I've certainly been there. I think a lot of us have probably been there. I've certainly, looked at... There's a lot of information to look at, right? Especially on a tracker, and you're like, I just need to find the thing right now. Do I have it? And it's like, I just don't see it.
It's those nerves of you're staring and trying to contrast information. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good on you for having moments like that, but still, honestly, from the plays that you made that you were able to make, or that made sense for you. I mean, I think from the perspective of maybe efficiency and getting through fights and whatnot, I mean, I think from that perspective you rocked it. So, Charlie played, I'm gonna say, out of his mind this seed. This is one of the best I've seen of him. So I would take that away as well, that Charlie played a very, very, very good race.
Well, I'm not trying to take anything away from
him. Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, just another bit of Anyways, definitely a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure. So now...
I think it's neat that we did take the loss, but I think we get to play again, right?
Yeah, there is the 3rd place round that's going to take place next week for the loser of the next set of matches, which we'll talk about here directly. But yeah, there is one more set of races for 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th but still top 4 is, I think, a fantastic accomplishment just as a team accomplishment for this very unique set well, the flags weren't necessarily unique, but the team format that we had going into it was unique amongst free enterprise at this point.
Yeah, brand new concept to play like this in this game, and yeah, I went into it with not knowing what to expect and just seeing how it would feel each week. And I've mentioned this before, just the excitement of watching a teammate race is something new. Having this like such a strong rooting interest, I stayed up well past my normal bedtime last night to watch the Zilch Woobear race, which was amazing. One of the best races. If you haven't caught it, find the VOD and watch that one.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just like in my youth, I used to, a big Yankees fan. I used to stay up late and watch Yankees, and then kind of be angry at myself the next day. And I'm not a rabid baseball fan anymore. So I go to bed now. But I stayed up to watch my teammate play free enterprise. So it's just kind of fun having that excitement.
Yeah, it's definitely all the stories from many of the different teams, especially ones that got put together more randomly, right? And found camaraderie still through just kind of meeting folks. I think that's, for me, one of the kind of shining stars of a tournament like this. It's something that I felt personally being on the Restream team, getting to work with all sorts of different new people and building camaraderie through that as well. So yeah, I mean, this community, we say it all the time, top notch, and really, really glad that you've been able to have that experience.
When the feedback comes out, I'm definitely going to recommend that like something like this happens again. But my dilemma now is I'd love to play with all my teammates again, but like you said, I'd also love to play with a lot of other people too. So I don't know how it's going to be quite a conundrum if another team event pops up.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely. I've felt that with the 2v2 as well. It's because you get somebody you really like, but it's like, but I like to play with somebody else, but I like my friend too much. Yeah, it's embarrassment of riches, I suppose, right?
Yeah, it turns out we're all pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's about all I had for Tasia. Anything else you'd like to ask?
No, just another GG's to both of you. Fantastic race, great show, and we'll see you next week in the consolation match then.
All right. Well, take care. Nice to talk to all of you.
You as well, Rex.
Yep. Thank you, Restream team. Have a great night. Enjoy the other matches that I bet you're about to talk about, and all the matches that happen again next week. It's almost over, but there's, I think, still a lot of excitement ahead. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks so much, you too. Have a good one.
Oh, once again, just a fantastic shout out to all of our runners, Peasants OMFG, Korgs, Reckless Charlie, and Rexral, of course. Give them a follow here on Twitch. Another shout out to all of our team behind the scenes, Hush Pyramid for the restream, Darth Plagal and Scarcerer for the tracking. I do want to give a shout out to, of course, RPG Limit Break for letting us borrow their channel for this wonderfully hyped race. So thank you to RPG Limit Break as well. And of course, Solaris, my good friend. It's always a pleasure working with you on these things.
Oh yeah, likewise to you, Vitasia. You're actually one of the first commentators when I started watching Free Enterprise in 2019 or something like that. You were one of the commentators that was pretty regular. That was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to do something. I want to do something like that. So it's. I mean, besides you just being a lovely person, it's nice to do this with you as well.
That's just him being polite and me saying, I'm old. I've done this a long time. Anyway.
Look. I'm about to reach my 40th age in life. I think a lot of us in our community that love this 30-year-old video gamer feeling it.
Yeah, we fully get it. That being said, before we let everyone go, we do want to let you know that we will be raiding Commander Leonhardt tonight. If you stick around, a member of our community who's doing some Moonveil mixers, just kind of on his own recreationally, letting you know that the other half of the semifinals is going to take place all this Saturday. at 11 a.m. Eastern is going to be the Potion Party seed. It is a rematch from the tiebreaker that we just saw last week between Cubs Roll 21 of the New Moon team and Enjadave of Bold Strategy. That takes place at 11 a.m. Eastern. We do not know what channel that's going to be on yet, so stay tuned for that. And at 5 o'clock Eastern, there will be another doubleheader. It's going to be Kyrios of New Moon versus Night Dew of Bold Strategy, heading up again versus Kryl of New Moon, and some scrub named Vitasia for Bold Strategy. Just somebody. I don't have bias or anything.
Yeah, I think these are both going to be really fun matches to watch. I still love that we get to play both Potion Party and Moonveil Mixer. I gotta be honest, I love both these flag sets.
They've both been fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, that was super fun for very different reasons too. But yeah, anyways, that's really it for us for tonight. Heading over to Commander Leonhardt. Have a good one.
See you, everyone.